Yes. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our launch event. Welcome to Becoming Regenerative. We're really grateful and happy to have you here with us in the room and online. And so my name is Dr. Tuukka Toivonen, and I serve as the director of the Becoming Regenerative Lab. Joining me here today for this short first talk is Professor Delfina Fantini van Ditmar, our lab co-director, and Dr. Onya Idoko, one of our co-investigators here. So that's our crew for the beginning. And yes, let me begin by sharing with you a little story of kind of the origins of the vision that motivated this project for us. And that has led us to come together as a lab at the intersection of Loughborough University, London, the Royal College of Art and University College London, to explore regenerative design and innovation broadly in the context of the creative sector. For some of us, everything began really with our encounters with the powerful idea, salient at art and design schools in particular, that designers and entrepreneurs needed to learn to create with and for nature. A growing chorus asserted that it was no longer tenable to just create in an anthropocentric or indeed technocentric bubble where the living world was at best an afterthought and at worst a major victim of so-called innovations that served consumerist and financial interests. Living systems in all their complexity, resilience, and vulnerability needed to be treated as the starting point for creative and future-making activity. And humans needed to be repositioned as participants seeking to promote the health of such systems, as opposed to diminishing them through cycles of extraction. Luckily, by this point, one member of our research team already had years of experience working with regenerative design teams that spanned disciplines. These were teams that had found a degree of success already with more than human-oriented innovation in fashion, product design, architecture, and technology. So from this vantage point, we knew that the journey from the discovery of regenerative potentials to their full actualization and flourishing was a fraught one. There were a huge number of dots that needed connecting between specific ecosystems, organisms, producers, technologies, investors, regulators, industries, and citizens. We had no illusions about the steep challenges faced by the teams involved, but their task was not simply to bring about a new product or material, but to establish new synergies between the economy on the one hand and the living world and new ways of seeing on the other. Nevertheless, we perceive tremendous value in these spirited efforts to relate and create in a new way that genuinely sought to be regenerative. We saw the potential, the importance of exploring the journeys of designers and entrepreneurs in all their brilliant messiness and imperfection, paying attention as much to what we could learn from their dilemmas and challenges as to the glowing new ideas and regenerative business strategies they might be generating. We duly decided to explore their every detail, their every sub-process in the fullest possible detail yet. We thought this could yield a dynamic and multidimensional map that might help others to navigate the emergent regenerative journey with a greater awareness of its likely contours. So through all these steps and discoveries, we came to view these experimental journeys as pioneering examples of our society's efforts to think, be, relate, and create differently in relation to the more than human world. And we perceived these as valuable experiments in becoming regenerative. And now we want to render these experiments accessible, far more accessible than before, so that a greater share of the world can engage with this vital emerging process. I want to pause for a minute on this notion of becoming regenerative to really clarify that it assumes no certainty of success, nor does it predefine how diverse participants might approach the concept of regeneration. Our goal is simply to follow and to unpack the journeys of up to 80 or so teams across the UK Netherlands, Japan, and South Korea, and to raise our collective understanding of how regenerative design and innovation unfold in practice. We expect, both for the teams we study and ourselves as a research community, that this will be a journey of great significance into a new era of mutual thriving, an alternative, if still only partly defined, an imperfect future beyond the destructive divisions of our current world. We believe this venture will point to a future that is not transhuman or technologically obsessed, but attuned fully to the more than human world. Today, our two remarkable speakers, Heather Barnett and James Bridle, will tell us much more about moving into this more than human consciousness and interrelatedness that we are interested in. It is this consciousness and a sense of imagination that we believe really needs to drive efforts to become regenerative across all fields. And now I'm going to invite my co-lab members to talk more about their interest in this project.
Many thanks, Tuukka, for that introduction about the project. We're at the Royal College of Art. So what I'm going to address now is the value of art and design education informing this regenerative imagination. Why art and design education is a perfect home for regenerative practices to emerge. Art and design education is a place that can foster this expansive ecological imagination, as there is and should be based on strong critical imagination. There is a relatively absence of conceptual and practical obstacles and also inhibitors. There is oxygen for alternative worldviews. We are very, very open for uncomfortable questions and also radical ideas. We allow our students to attune to their materials and objects of interest. We discover those potentials. We allow them for an expansive practice of more than human care, and we encourage them to work in a transdisciplinary manner. With the help of other specialists, we offer them a space to explore and experiment with iterative prototyping and surprise us also with methods of impact and investigation of their tests. We allow a diversity of thinking, and we bring here to our buildings a broad variety of tutors and practitioners. We encourage them to have this reflective practice and also to speak about the first-person challenges when they face these new ways of understandings and new interactions with the living systems. We increase their consciousness about these holistic considerations that they should be engaging with in this polycrisis world that we're living. And also, we encourage them to revision design and think about how their practice are helping to revision the world in a more positive direction, but also to encourage them to think how their practice could also be defuturing the future of our planet. An important part of our project will be the non-hegemonic approach to our methods. We believe science and design should have the same validity. Design is liberated from technocentrism, scientific methods, empirical protocols, and also feasibility studies. With all this said, science is very important. We have this expansive imagination, so there's no constraints. But at the moment to understand the living, we need to have knowledge. And for this, science is very important. It can provide us ecological understanding and also understanding of essential living principles and the way of assessment. Technology and engineering is also very important when it's used as an insightful tool. It can develop certain propositions which seem difficult, so they can figure out how this might work out. Art and design education allow for radical breaks from the past established methods. We're open to wild and conventional ideas. We're encouraged to be ambitious and also visionary. We can and we should rethink and revision futures. I'll invite now Onya Idoko.
Thank you, Delfina. Good afternoon, everyone, and it is such a pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Onya Idoko, and I'm co-program leader for the MSc in Prosperity, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship. I'm excited to share a bit about our project, which is focused on regenerative innovation journeys. And I'd like to share with you some of the parts that I will be studying and focusing on, along with my team members. What we do on the master's program is we disrupt how our students think about entrepreneurship vis-a-vis people and the planet. We're rethinking what entrepreneurship is and also rethinking its purpose. Who is it serving? And who is it not serving? So we're moving away from the idea of profit maximization for shareholders. And one of the things that I teach on a module, which is called Transformative Entrepreneurship, is that we're challenging the status quo, we're challenging systems and structures that continue to perpetuate many of the challenges that we see today. And what many have said, and most will agree on, is that we need new systems and structures. We need what regenerative designers and entrepreneurs are doing. We need to introduce new ways of thinking and doing. However, transitioning from a regenerative invention to an innovation, whether in the form of products, services, or systems, it presents these designers and entrepreneurs with several challenges. Various complexities and tensions arise. And these challenges often stem from external expectations, established frameworks, and conventional practices that are in direct conflict with principles of regeneration. For instance, entrepreneurs need resources to develop their ideas. And a common means of securing these resources might be from a venture capital investment, especially when it's time to scale the business. However, while the typical VC investment cycle follows a relatively short timeline, so most times they would like their investment back as soon as possible, or they expect you to have an exit strategy, regenerative entrepreneurs working with living systems often operate at a different temporal cycle. So one question that I'm particularly interested in is, how do these entrepreneurs and designers navigate these sorts of tensions that arise? Another is, in this project, we focus on human and non-human co-creation. And this idea of a collective creative process, if you like, it diverges or moves away from the traditional anthropocentric model. Now, how do these and what these creators do, so both human and non-humans working together, they produce something novel, completely novel and interesting. However, these ideas are unfamiliar to manufacturers, they're unfamiliar to investors and customers. As such, how do these regenerative entrepreneurs overcome the liability of newness associated with their novel innovations in order to gain legitimacy? So you can think about a supply chain, for example, how it's structured in a certain way for now, but then isn't really equipped to support these new innovations that come out of the human and non-human collaborations. So regenerative innovations have the potential to disrupt existing systems and introduce new ones. Understanding how that process works, how ideas evolve, how they gain traction, how they grow through this entrepreneurial work will be a valuable roadmap for the next generation of regenerative entrepreneurs. That's my talk. Next, I get the pleasure of introducing our first speaker, Heather Barnett. Oh, I have to hand over to Tuukka. Sorry. I'll come back and introduce you, Heather. It's okay.
Thank you, Onya and Delfina, for those very important contributions. So this is our ambitious vision for this UKRI-funded project, and we really hope that you will join us over the coming years. What we are launching today really is an ongoing research initiative that's also a collective exploration of what it might truly mean to become regenerative in relation to the modern human world and the contemporary society, inclusive of all the imperfections and ambiguities that this really entails. So at this point, before Onya gets back on stage, I would like to thank the wonderful polyphonic assemblage of living beings and institutions who have lent their support to this project thus far. So of course, we have the UKRI as our main funder. We're very grateful for the ability to be able to carry out this research with UKRI support. We are also grateful to Loughborough University London and the Institute for Creative Futures for giving us and our lab a home for the next 3-4 years. We're also thankful to the RCA, of course, for the opportunity to present here and to be one of our partners. And also, we're grateful to the UCL Institute for Global Prosperity for also becoming one of our key academic partners. Also, we'd like to thank Pangaya and Christian Schmitz of PDIE and the Fashion District for becoming our external partners. And we finally would like to thank our advisory board of esteemed academic leaders who are at the very top of this field across 4 or 5 different countries. So yeah, we have a very interesting event lined up for you today. Some extremely knowledgeable and exciting speakers. We then, after the speaker session, the keynote sessions, we'll go into a coffee break. We'll then do a panel talk and Q&A session, so you get to pose questions and add your contributions. After that, we have an ecological sound performance by Jamie Perera. And finally, we have closing remarks and a bit of networking at the end. So now it's time to thank you once more for coming. So thank you very much for your